VR, is it a thing of the past? Is it a thing of the future? Is it going to hang around? I'm really into it. What do you guys think of VR?
Stop being so
Right,
gentlemanly.
so my thing with VR is this. I think that it's in a standpoint right now where there's not enough A-level companies or these big superstar companies that have put out titles that sort of make it worth it, right? It's quite a big investment. It does cost quite a lot of money to get like a decent setup. You need a decent computer as well to be able to run it, obviously when you're looking at PC stuff. But the main point for me is now we have some titles that are coming. So that's obviously, we've got games come on right now. We've seen some sneak peeks.
Some big
Maybe that's what it
announcements.
needs. So
Yeah, it's good in the way that there is big developers getting behind VR finally, like Bethesda have come out and since confirmed obviously Fallout 4, Doom VR, as well as Skyrim VR. And they're also all slated to be released by the end of 2017, which is pretty exciting. VR, I think to me, it's still in that early adoption phase. I think
100%.
you hit the nail right on the head where there isn't a huge slew of AAA content out there available. Like the biggest one to throw their hat in the ring was Capcom with Resident Evil 7 at the start of this year, which is fantastic, by the way.
Yeah.
In PSVR, it's a must play. I nearly pooed myself a few times.
I will say, like, I've been streaming for 4.5 years full time, and I've tried every scary game that's come out, right? And I did a little bit of the Resident Evil stuff, and people get angry at me because I don't get scared playing Outlast and Outlast 2 and stuff like that because I
You're
don't.
too tough.
It's not
You've
that. It's
seen
just
it all.
you can sort of tell when a pop scare is going to come. You know what I mean?
mean
So
a
like
jump
someone's
scare?
jumping. Yeah, pop scare, jump scare, whatever you want to call it.
Pop
You think
scare.
that the music's a little bit telling?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
You can always sort of tell, and like when it happens, like my thing is I'm too fat in real life to run away. So if something like that was to happen, I don't want to die in a cupboard trying to breathe, like running away from some serial killer, just hiding in the cupboard, going, I hope he doesn't find me. So my translation for that is I'm not going to run away in the game. So I just don't get frightened.
So due to your physical limitations, you've removed fear from
Yeah.
games because you think,
Yeah.
if they find me, I'm dead either way.
Yeah, I'm done.
because I'm a little bit more of a hefty gentleman.
Thank you for the
But
kind
are you just
wording.
going to roll over, or are you
Yeah,
going to
no,
like?
no,
are
I'm
you
going to
going
put him
fight
up.
for
I'm going to
it?
bang, and if I
You're gonna-
lose, I'm dead. That's
You're going to
it.
give it a red hot go then.
Yeah, I'll have a crack.
that's all right.
And then if I lose, that's it. I'm not dying puffed out. I don't want to die trying to breathe, just going, help me, Jesus. No, that's not what I want.
Just leave a beautiful corpse.
That's it. I want to look pretty when I die. But my point being, Resident Evil VR was phenomenal. I also almost pooped a little bit.
Yeah, it's certainly one of the games of the year for me personally. VR is getting a lot more and more accessible now. The HTC Vive this week has since done a further price reduction of another $200 US. So it's becoming more and more of a feasible option for the gamers out there. Obviously, the PSVR is sort of the cheaper entry-level, quote-unquote, system to get in. Or if you're talking really cheap, you can get the Samsung Gear VR,
Yes.
which obviously uses your phone as most of the intelligence, and it just straps onto the front of the
But
headset.
I would actually argue that's not actually VR.
No, I wouldn't
it's
either.
not virtual
I wouldn't either.
reality.
It's
more just
nowhere near
augmented
as
reality or-
immersive as PSVR, as the Vive and the Rift. It's weird though, because the Rift you don't really hear much about anymore. It's sort of fallen by the wayside. Like the
I think
Vive
it
is
hasn't
the
catch-
The
Yeah, it doesn't
Samsung
quite.
one does have a lot of good qualities though. Like obviously, if you're at home and you're alone and you're going to use your phone for something, VR makes it quite the experience.
yeah.
I have to say, I've got the HTC Vive and I love it. Ever since I picked it up, my whole living room has just become a dedicated space to VR, and I am praying at the altar. I love it.
It is the premium headset / handsets as far as VR
Yes.
goes. As far as sales figures goes, PSVR have surpassed 1 million units sold. The HTC Vive has sold 420,000 units, and the Oculus is at very distant last with 243,000 units sold, thereabouts. But the one that's run away with it is actually the Samsung Gear. 5 million units have been sold. But obviously,
That's the price
it's
point.
$100.
It's 100. It's 100%
Yeah.
the price point.
Yeah.
Like it's just a good way to get in.
And the fact that it came with the phone, like with my S8,
Yeah.
I was given an
Yeah.
S8 and it came with the phone, so we didn't have to do anything.
But that's
to
a
get that,
great
so-
way to corner the market,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
It's
Very,
just
very smart.
Very
So-
smart, yeah.
How much time have you spent with it? Do you get a lot of motion sickness when you are
at
engaging
all.
in these games too heavily or for prolonged amounts of time? Because I do.
Yeah, I'm actually curious because like I haven't had any motion sickness whatsoever. I've been playing lots of the indie games. Obviously, as we've been talking about, there's that lack of AAA titles, which is, I think, the next frontier for people to get involved.
I think that's exactly right. Like it's these big A titles that are going to really, really, really give us that push to maybe even want to go out and get the setup for it for VR.
Like
for me personally, out of the three, I think it's probably going to be Skyrim.
Skyrim is the one I'm
Would probably be like Fallout's obviously going to be huge, and Fallout's a phenomenal game. Doom, I'm like whatever. Like with Doom itself, like I played Doom. I got a little bit over it, like the animations of the deaths and stuff like that were really, really cool. But once you've seen it 20 times because you're killing so many mobs, I got a bit over it, and I guess it would be the same with VR. But Skyrim looks like it could be absolutely awesome.
Well, Skyrim is that immersive game, you know, it's like with all the mods, and I really hope they keep that modding community actively involved, because, you know, I love like the little lock picking mini game, but there was like this great mod that I got from the community where it's like I'm a barbarian and I can actually just use my brute strength to like just hack at a lock, and it's like that's the most immersive way to play.
Those little bits would be cool
that.
though, like physically seeing your hands in front of you, you know, using the lock picks and things like that. But I worry with the rigidity of the movement is where a lot of the illness comes from. Like I've played a fair amount of VR, and a lot of the games, like you'd call them glorified tech demos at the moment. You know, they're 20-minute or a 30-minute experience, and you go into whatever universities they've painted for you. You feel like you're in the ocean, or you're Batman, or you're racing a car, whatever it might be. But then you put it down. You don't play for prolonged periods of time. There's only one game, apart from Resident Evil 7, that I've played for prolonged periods of time, called Here They Lie on the PSVR, and that game I've nearly vomited a few times just from the aggressiveness of the movement and just the animation style. And the game itself knows that it's hard on the body because there'd be screens that'll pop up sometimes and say, take a break, have a rest, you might be sick, go for a walk, get some fresh air. And that's where the disconnect's going to be when especially with Skyrim, like imagine running around, real fierce sort of sword swipes and casting and things like that. Like,
just playing
I wonder how that's going to translate. Like,
just passively.
How many
bushes.
How many vomit piles are there going to be from these games?
Look, I'll get my bucket ready. Like I am so ready for Skyrim. Like this is the game. Like when I played Skyrim the first time, this is what I always dreamed about. It was the VR, the next level, and the fact that it's coming. Like I'm just calling me excited. Right?
Yeah, so
I think you just got to look at shorter gaming sessions. I think that'll be the bigger thing, right?
But that's
like,
hard, especially a game like Skyrim. I like to sit and play for like 6, 7, 8 hours straight and just get in there and feel that universe.
I think it's definitely going to be more, you're going to have to work out a way where you can sit down and play, you know, as opposed to the traditional standing up VR where you're sitting there trying to run around, do all those types of things. People are going to need to work out a system if they want to do long gaming hours in regards to VR where they can sit down and sort of have their way of playing.
And they need lighter headsets. Like prolonged periods of time with the Vive on or the PSVR can strain your head and your neck. Like it's not a heavy bit of kit by any means, but you notice it. Like it's very noticeable, especially if you've got headphones on, you've got cables hanging off you. Like it's great tech, but they just need to try and refine it a little bit more, I think.
Well, no, I agree with you. I mean, I've just been lost in the excitement. There's this one game, and I'm dying because I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's this little indie game, and it's like a little 20-minute platformer like you just described. And you're hacking and slashing, you're picking your weapons, you can shoot, you can use the bow and arrow, and like to dodge, you physically have to move out of the way. And you know, I played that twice back to back, and I was not tired. I could have just stayed up and just kept playing it, or I just wanted more of that game.
Yeah, I might skip some of the more physical activity ones. Okay.
But you know, maybe they'll just
things to do.
Places to be. But maybe it's just the way that they roll out the missions. Maybe it's just more mission based and more quest based, where it's like here's a 20-minute
open
path.
platform.
Yeah, and it's like it's available too if you want to play in that way. But if you're more into a short little run, that might be a cool way to get around it.
But it's exciting. I think it's still very much in its infancy and it's not going to go anywhere. I think it's certainly here to stay, and as they start to progress into augmented reality, obviously where they're splicing in then real world, like similar to Pokemon Go is I guess the easiest example that's probably relatable to everybody, where you can use the tech and then superimpose things into the real world, that you see in front of your own eyes. So that's the next big step, but I'm pretty excited. I love it. Like I've got a PSVR, I've got all the games on it, hella fun. Before
we wrap up this subject, what would be, if you could have any game in the world on VR and it would be done well, what would be the game? And this is for you guys as well. What would be the game that you would pick? I've got two options in my mind.
You can only pick one.
Give us one.
1080 snowboarding.
I was going to say
Whoa.
California games.
Yeah, something like that.
I was going to say
Or
bring
Postal.
California games back. Postal.
Yeah.
Jesus.
What's
So much
Postal?
violence.
Yeah, that would be intense.
That would
Postal
never
was
get
like
released
a
here in
game-
Australia.
Yeah.
Never ever.
Postal was pretty much like a serial killer game. It was like banned in Australia. We just absolutely... Probably not a good idea. Let's go with 1080 snowboarding. But Postal would be fun.
Now I'm down for some California games. I want to play virtual
Hacky
reality hacky sack and hit that hacky sack and watch it hit the seagull as it flies past. I want that in my life. But what do you guys think? Maybe hit us up on the socials at Invert AIM. Drop some suggestions of games that you think would be perfect to translate into the VR world.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it more next week once we get some responses.